Right. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We'll give a few more seconds just to make sure everybody can get in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Again, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a few seconds here. Give a few more moments for some more folks to get signed in. All right, awesome. So we have a good group here. We're going to go ahead and kick it off. So thank you again for taking a few minutes. I know, especially this time of year, it is busy for anyone to get time away from their day-to-day work. So we appreciate you taking a few minutes to kind of join us and talk through a topic that, we know is important, and the fact that you're here means that you know it's important as well. And this is really all about protecting New York students and sort of like how we can use digital monitoring and anonymous reporting to provide proactive tools to help support kids. By way of introduction, my name is Dan Gaffney. I am an account manager here with Lightspeed Systems. And in this context, I work with many of the Ricks and Bosies across New York State, as well as districts across New York State. And I'm going to pass it to my colleague Nick to introduce himself as well.
Yes, hi, I'm Nick Zima. I worked with StopIt Solutions that was recently acquired by Lightspeed Systems for about 7.5 years. Happy to be with Lightspeed as they have many ways to enhance what we do and integrate with what we do. I've helped close to 1,000 school districts, or a little over that actually, adopt the programs during my time with StopIt. And I look forward to showing you through the system, showing you what is produced out there, and give you a realistic perspective of what it's like to use on both ends of the system.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. And we're going to be bringing Nick back to really focus in just a little bit and talk more about Stop It and what it does as part of the Lightspeed solutions. This is not news to anyone, right? The reality is we all, as partners of districts and consortiums in New York, like we're constantly hearing from you, and also as parents, right? I'm a parent of students in New York State schools, former teacher and administrator myself. And I think the reality is what we're all seeing, which is that kids are struggling, right? Whether that's violence, weapons, drugs, bullying, on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, kids are often in difficult situations and needing supports. And schools are filling that space in providing that support to kids. And when we look at this, the reality has gone over the years where more and more has sort of landed on the plate of the folks that are in the classrooms and in the schools to try to support the needs of kids, right? So 15 years ago, maybe we weren't expecting a teacher or a counselor to be providing the levels of support and services to kids. But the reality is now the demands are there, and the staff in these schools is needing to support the kids, right? So we're seeing suicide continue to be a leading cause of death. And we see these ratios, right, where there's a huge number of kids, a small number of counselors. And what that means is that every adult in the building becomes a counselor to these kids. And what we're seeing from a safety standpoint is that the needs continue to be there, right? As more and more things move to the digital space, we're seeing more and more things surface that require support from the staff in these buildings. And again, the real focus on our side is about how do we move from a reactive stance where we're just in the buildings, things are happening, we're hearing of things and we're reacting to them. And how do we move that instead to your first line of defense where we are proactive, right? How do we surface things, whether it's through the way that kids are interacting with their devices and the way that they're interacting with each other, or through things like anonymous reporting systems that actually allow us as staff to proactively know when kids need support so that we can marshal the resources available to get the kids the help that they need. Right. So the combination, as Nick is going to talk about, bringing Stop It into the Lightspeed family was really an obvious decision. And that's again because we work in this space with Lightspeed Alert of providing online student safety monitoring, right? We are that things sitting between a kid's device and the internet. And what that means is that we're often surfacing things like potential self-harm concerns, potential violence concerns, potential cyberbullying. Because as everyone knows, like kids are spending more and more of their time and their interactions in these digital spaces. Like I know throughout New York State right now, there are tons of book groups reading The Anxious Generation. This is a continued topic of conversation in our school communities, in the buildings, to try to see like how do we help these kids who are often, again, experiencing normal adolescence and normal challenges of this time in their lives, but through this digital space. So Lightspeed Alert, which is helping to proactively surface these concerns, is now joined by sort of the power of Lightspeed StopIt with its anonymous reporting solution. And speaking a little bit, again, the nice thing of New York State is with the incredible structure of the BOCES and the consortiums that provide these great layers of technical support throughout the state, Lightspeed has a number of partnerships and number of districts throughout the state already that we're supporting with our solution. So, over 275,000 students, 500 schools, and that is surfacing thousands of incidents per year. And what that means is that we're getting information into the hands of teachers and administrators and counselors to be able to support kids, right? The more information we're getting into those hands that allow them to support, the better we are. And with that, I think I'll pass it probably to Nick to speak a little bit to how Stop It is added as an additional layer of support within that process.
Yep. Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, the Stop It program is used in about 30 districts in New York State, many of which are in the Rensselaer County area. Big reason for that is back in 2021, we partnered with Questar 3 BOCES on a federal grant partnership to help many of their members obtain the programs fully funded through an awarded grant. So that effort enabled many member districts to experience the impact of the program, and the good news is the vast majority of them have opted to sustain it on their own, right? We all know when something is covered by a grant, the moment of truth comes at the end of that grant term, right? Did the solutions that you had covered provide an impact and make a difference? And if they did, you do your best to sustain them, right? Which the vast majority of them did. We now, over the last few months, developed a cooperative purchasing agreement with Questar 3 BOCES, and that can enable any New York State district to obtain the program with those benefits of purchasing through a BOCES. So as you probably know, with rebates up to nearly 90%, depending on your level of aid, when purchasing the program through them. So just a generic overview of what StopIt is, right? Something you're going to quickly notice with the StopIt program, especially as I go through a demo of it and show you how it's used, is it's not only for anonymous reporting, right? We know there's a lot of anonymous reporting solutions out there. Just being an AR program is what we were 10 years ago, right? Enabling anyone in the school community to report concerns to administration without giving their name, right? And we provided an app at the time, which was something new. What you're going to see now is the program is about providing multiple paths for early incident intervention and prevention. It's also enabling those paths to create opportunities between the school administration and the school, right? An opportunity for the administration to build trust with their school community, which you're going to see. So if you ask me, like, what's the 50,000-foot view of what this program is all about in its current form? It's all about communication, right? Creating conversations that would not have happened otherwise between the school community and the administration. It's about providing help and support to both students and families if you choose to do that, right? It's also about de-escalation and crisis management, right? That's a big part of the program too, which you're going to see. If somebody comes in here and they're in a personal crisis, how do you calm them down so they don't become a threat to themselves or others? And then I keep mentioning this, but I see it over and over. It's really about building that trust. This is something that's often missed with programs like this. It's using those opportunities to communicate with the kids, be there as a trusted advisor to them. So it creates that sense of well-being for the school community. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take you off the slides and I'm going to run you through some national data. And I'm also going to run you through some data that's been produced from schools in New York that are using the program. You can kind of compare the two, right? What the differences are with New York and nationally. I'm also going to give you access to test the StopIt app. So the StopIt program and how anyone can use it to report or get help, it can be accessed in several ways. It can be accessed through a mobile app on personal smartphones. It can be accessed directly through Chromebooks, through a Chromebook app. You would just have your technology director put it on all those. Web links, right? School or district website. Someone can even call in and talk to one of our agents too. But those QR images will enable you to put the app on your phone if you'd like. And I'll show you how to access the app and get into your school and surf through it, even try it out if you want. So I'm going to go through some data now on what the program has produced. So this, what you're seeing on the screen right now is national data, our live size sense data, right? So I ran this report from 7/1/2024 to yesterday, right? And it's nationwide. What I'm going to do right now is load my phone on the screen, right? So you can get into the StopIt app if you put it on your phone. So when you download the app, right, or even access a generic link, this is the screen you'll be faced with. So you have options to get into your school, right? You can choose to be on a national directory where you can search for your school either by name or location, right? And you can get into your school, right? So you'll see some New York schools there, New Jersey schools there, where you can get right in. Now, if you don't want to be accessible by anybody through a public app, which a lot of districts don't want to do, you can also promote an access code that's unique to the district or the cohort, right? So you may have a mascot, a slogan, something that's easy for the community to remember, and they can put in a code. So I'm going to put in this code, try district code. That is the unique code to get into my test app. If anybody wants to get in, surf through it, try district code is the code to get into my system. So again, the whole program is fully flexible and configurable, all the way down to the building or cohort level. So that's the reason for the selection here. It's going to ask you like, and again, this setup is how you want it, but this is maybe how a larger district sets it up. Are you a student from the elementary school, middle school, high school? Are you a member of the community if you give them access? Like, are you a parent or are you a caregiver, etc.? So I'm going to choose I'm in a school, White Oak Middle School. So that selection determines everything with the app. It determines the routing of the incident. If someone does report something, it usually is assigned directly to the school building administrators. It determines the branding of the app. We want to make it abundantly clear to the kids in the community that this is your school helping you. This is your school that you're sharing information with, again, to build that trust. Because that's a big question and a condition that has to be satisfied by the kids, especially is where's this going? Who's helping me? Who's helping me? Is this going to the police? Is this going to Homeland Security? Is this going to FBI? No, it's going to people that you may see every day, but you just don't have it in you yet to go in and talk to them, right? Or maybe it's out of hours. So a lot of things are configurable, content as well, since you'll see you can put content and information in here and resources. Those can also be age appropriate or specific to the cohort. Even the experience for reporting can be different. I've seen a lot of districts that want a completely different reporting experience for parents than they do for kids, or maybe more simple for younger kids like grades 4 and 5. So that's how you would get into the app, right? So submitting a tip, that is where this number is coming from here. So nationally, the program has produced over 60,000 pieces of information to get in front of an incident, help someone, change someone's life for the better. So we know that we're getting a lot of impact with the program out there nationally. Again, this is data from just this school year, 7/1/24 to yesterday, right? Or is that's today, sorry. Or yeah, that'll be up till today. And again, this is national. So that's the amount of reports that have been submitted, right? This is how the school communities are choosing to engage with the program right now. 43% mobile apps on the phone, 57% is mostly school issued devices. So just like 3, 4 years ago, this was more like 75/25. The vast majority of the usage was the mobile app on the personal phones. We know there's a lot of phone bans happening. I think in the state of New York, that's happening as well, where kids can't quite easily get a hold of their smartphone during the day. But at the same time, you have school issued devices where you can just put access right on those. And that's where that 57% is coming from. Scrolling down a little bit, these are the types of incidents that we're helping the schools nationally get in front of. So probably no surprise to you, bullying is the largest slice on the pie nationally. And we know that ties in with a lot of other types of incidents, right? We know someone that's bullied is about 7 times more likely to be suicidal. We know that most school shootings, in the vast majority of them, bullying was involved in some way. So that's kind of a catch-all of a lot of things that we're helping them get in front of. General concerns, something's just not right with a friend or someone they know, alcohol, drugs, harassment, intimidation. This is a big one that grew a lot this school year, unfortunately. Threat or planned attack, representing nearly 5% right now. And speaking to the importance of our crisis center, which I'll go over. This is starting to creep in as well. The mental health issues, the cutting self-harm. We noticed a lot of growth in that, unfortunately, right around before COVID to after COVID. The youth mental health crisis and the distress that they're under, and using the program to share information about someone they're concerned with or de-escalate, which I'll show you they have other options. Scrolling down a little bit, of those 60,000 incidents, over 7,000, over 10%, right, have been potentially life-threatening. These are the primary types of potentially life-threatening incidents that have been reported through our system. So again, what they're getting in front of. Threat or planned attack, number one, like you saw, violence, and then again, those other issues, right? The cutting self-harm, the suicide ideation creeping up into the top 5 there, unfortunately. So we know we have to provide more ways for kids to get help for these types of issues as they creep into the system. So I mentioned we have a crisis center here, right? This is how many escalation actions that they have taken just this school year nationally, right? So again, I've been with StopIt for 7.5 years. When I first started at StopIt, we did not have a crisis center. We were just a naked technology, like pretty much everyone else out there. Kids can report issues, and they would go to the school administration, and hopefully they were opened up and viewed by somebody. Unfortunately, what we saw was it took approximately 7 hours on average for an administrator to open up and view a tip. Some opened them right away, right? Especially if it was during the day, but some let them sit for days. So we said to ourselves, look, this program is becoming about so much more than just bullying and cyberbullying. There's safety concerns. Ever since Parkland and Santa Fe, there's reports about weapons or threats, planned attack, now mental health issues. We can't have these tips sitting out there for hours on end, not being opened and viewed by a person and intervened with if necessary. So the way our crisis center works is if somebody sends information to the school, goes to our crisis center simultaneously, they just make sure it's opened up and viewed by a person, a trained professional. And if they see that it's something that requires immediate attention, we'll go through an escalation process. We determine what that is before we start your program, right? We agree upon that, who your contacts are, your emergency contacts, and go through what order those would be if we escalate. So those are the amount of calls and emails, right? About 9,000 actions this year. This is a big one here, times of the day that kids are reporting issues. A lot of programs out there make it very clear to the kids in the community, this is only for school hours. If you send us stuff outside of our working hours, we may not see it. We may not respond to it. Call 911, right? Do something else. That's not what our program's about. We're about providing help all the time in a variety of different ways. So this is times of the day that reports are submitted nationally. So you could see here, and this doesn't take into account weekends, holidays, and summer. So it's pretty safe to say that about a third or more of any incidents that come through are going to be submitted outside of your working hours, most likely during times when you aren't available or shouldn't have to be available, or which makes the crisis center even more important. Again, they're operating 24/7, 365. There's other numbers up here, right? Other ways that kids in the community are getting help, and you have options on how you want to set up your program. You have options on what you want your app and web infrastructure to be like, how you want to configure your program, and what areas you want to focus your help and support on. Do you want to focus more on the anonymous reporting to the school? Do you want to focus more on self-help or crisis texting with a crisis counselor? So this number here represents how many initiations the school communities have undergone with crisis text line. It's about 25% of all the activity right now is crisis texting with a crisis counselor, right? It was about 10% last year. It's grown a lot this year. If you don't know who crisis text line is, this is them here. These are the types of issues that they help with. It's more for someone that's in immediate need of help for themselves, right? Maybe they're lonely, maybe they're depressed, God forbid, suicidal. They just want to text with someone, communicate with them, so they can de-escalate, right? Calm down and they don't become a threat to themselves or others. So this hotline or this text line, you may already be promoting it in your schools. That's the main reason we partnered with them, is because we noticed a lot of schools in specific states were providing this number, like with the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, to their school community. So we said to ourselves, hey, why don't we put this directly into our app, big red button there. Someone can hit it and get direct access. They don't have to remember a phone number, and you get data collection on the back end on how often it's being used, right? That's really what it's all about. So we're just providing easier access to that organization to help. It can be provided in several ways, right? If it's access through the app, it'll be through chatting directly through the site, texting through the phone, if it's done mobilely. Another way that the communities are getting help that we're seeing is growing. Right now, it's 7% nationally, but you'll see in New York it's higher, is self-help resources. We've learned that not every student or not everyone wants to share information with the school, unfortunately, right? One big condition that needs to be satisfied for kids to share information, doesn't matter how accessible it is, how easy it is to use, is they need to be comfortable sharing with you, right? They need to trust who's behind the system. And unfortunately, not everyone trusts their school, right? You need to build trust with them and be there as a trusted advisor. So the resources are repositories that you can put into the app or the web. Kids can access it, community can access it, and you can put anything you want in here for someone to get self-help, for someone that wants to control their own journey to get help, at least initially. So some examples of things you can put in here or we can give you are things like prevention activities. Help Me Calm Down is a prevention activity where it helps someone control their breathing. It helps them de-escalate if they need to. This is an example here of a school that has a landing page on their website, like their school website, that says, hey, you want to schedule time with your school counselor? We can make that more accessible directly through the app. Anything that you're doing, right? Doesn't have to be just scheduling counseling time. Basic needs resources, national local helplines. This is a big one that gets used a lot, basic needs by zip code. So getting more into prevention, barriers to learning. You can punch in your zip code here and obtain any kind of resources to support basic needs in your local area, right? Push of a button there. We partnered with a company called Zia Learning on SEL, critical life skill content that's age appropriate. So again, I'm in the middle school. This is grades 5 to 8 content on all these different types of life skills that someone can learn about. Mental health content as well. So again, just an example of how you can set it up. You can configure this however you want. You can add new resources within seconds. And something that you can also do is, again, it's about building trust, sending things out, is you can broadcast messages out to the school community. So let's say you add a new resource to the app or the system, you can let them know it's there, right? Let them know you've added something. Maybe put a direct link to it. Maybe you want to tell them about the concerns of vaping, right? And keep them informed about things like that. You can send flyers. I had a district out of the Region 7 area in a different state. Their safety director wanted to send information about gun safety lessons, right? And put a flyer about that. So anything that you want to make more accessible, you can use the broadcasting and send stuff out. So even if someone takes no actions, right, they will still get that notification on their Chromebook app, on their smartphone if they did put it on their phone, and it just consistently lets them know that you care and directs them to new information. So that's national data, right? So as I scroll down a little bit, what's interesting is when I switch this to just New York, right? So this is the activity nationally. If I switch this filter to just our New York schools, you can see it'll change a lot, right? The activity. So you can see in New York right now, again, we work with a lot of rural schools, a lot of high need schools. 34% of their activity right now is self-help resources. About 45% is reporting to the school, 21% crisis text line. So again, I told you there's options on how you want to set up your program, configure your program, app infrastructure. This is an example right here of a district out in the Sullivan County area. Their district name is Eldred Community Schools or Eldred Central School District. Sorry. This is their app that they set up. They focused their program a little bit more on resources. Look at the amount of resources they have in their repository here, and they add things, new things all the time. I didn't even know there was this many types of resources that somebody can get for help, and they broadcast things out all the time. So a program like that is going to be very resource centric if that's how you want to run your program. And then scrolling down a little bit, it's very similar with the incident types in New York. Bullying is actually a little bit larger slice of the pie in the state. Not as much with the alcohol, drugs, but a little bit more on the outward aggressive behaviors like harassment, intimidation, and inappropriate conduct. Those are the main differences we're seeing between just our New York schools and nationally. All right, so let's do a quick demo of the app, and you can try it if you want. So I'm going to submit a tip to my school. And again, I'm in White Oak Middle School. So the first thing you would do is select a type, right? This is fully configurable. You don't want to have all these types. You want to focus on specific incident types. You can do that. You may have different language. Again, if this was me in the elementary school, this selection here can also determine who on the receiving end gets alerted, right? Who on the receiving end gets assigned the incident, because you may have different people that handle, bullying as opposed to mental health issues, as opposed to weapons or criminal activity, right? So that's another reason for the selection. So I'm going to choose a type here. Again, this reporting form, if you want to get as many tips as possible and have a lot of room for conversation back and forth, then you may have a short reporting form with just one question, right? Back to that, the national data, right? I didn't show you this before, but back to that national data, this is how many two-way messages the program has produced. So again, creating those conversations back and forth that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So you'll be able to do that with me if you send a report, have a two-way chat. And if you only have one simple question, you may be doing more of that, right? Because it may require more information. So I'm going to just fill out this form here and send the tip. Feel free to send me one if you have it on your phone as well, and you'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to add a piece of media, right, which you can do, screenshots, photos. You can provide videos too. I'm going to put a photo of my dented tumbler there that I refuse to get rid of, even though I dropped it and dented it. My wife got it for me and it's $40, so I'm like, I'm not getting rid of that thing. I'm going to keep it forever. So it will ask me, right, does this contain any kind of inappropriate or sexual content, right? Again, you determine what you want the process to be. If somebody does say yes, is it viewable on the back end? Is it not? Do you want us to put it on a drive and give it to law enforcement? I'm just going to say no. So it goes through. Something also I didn't mention, unlimited characters for sharing information. We see a lot of kids want to share a lot, right? A lot do voice to text where they just talk into it and share everything. A lot of systems, this is something that people don't think about, but they only have about 200 character limit, cuts them off. We don't have any limits. They can provide as much as they want in that reporting form. Disclaimer statement, we all know that misuse is a concern with any reporting system. We have several ways we deal with it. This is one. We experimented with a lot of different statements. We don't want kids to blow right through it and not care and just send it, but we also don't want to scare people out of sending what they should, right? We know we're still getting good volume and our false reporting right now is under 1%. So I'm going to say yes and send it in. I still want to send a tip. They'll get an automated response, right? Anytime they communicate, they'll get one. Now you're seeing I'm getting notifications, right? So this is all about real-time communication, both with the reporting and messaging back. So I'm getting several notifications as the administrator that a report has been submitted to my school. It's one of two different notifications you can get. It's just a generic notification that says, hey, an incident's been submitted to your school. I got it through SMS. I can get it through email. I also got it through a separate app called StopIt Admin. That's administrator access to the back-end incident management system that you would have access to. I also have the ability to open it up and manage it from my phone, right? Right from that app, I can do that. We've seen like that SROs like that, right? They're not sitting at a desk, they're on their feet all day. They want to be able to manage it from their phone. So you can do everything from your phone, but I'm going to show you how to manage it from the desktop view. So this is the desktop view here of the backend system. I'm in more of a district level view where I can see reports, data from any of my schools, right? Or all of them in aggregate, or just choose one specifically. If you have just building access, you only see your own building, or access to several buildings, etc. So this is the last one I just sent in. You can see it's in red. So again, if someone selects a concerning incident type like I did, it's going to be even further prioritized by the human review and the crisis center to open it up and view it. So as the administrator, I'm going to open it up. All the information that the student or who reported gave you is on the left side here. Right, I'm concerned about my friend. He failed a test. He tells me he's hurting himself. His name is Jimmy, no last name. And we got the photo of the dented tumbler, right? And it happened off school grounds. So this is where the administration has the ability to have that conversation, right? That wouldn't have happened otherwise without the program. So I'm going to send a message back and you can see what that looks like. And if you send me a tip, I'll respond back to you and we can chat through it. So I'm just going to say thank you for sharing this information. All right. I'm just going to say, can you tell us Jimmy's last name so he can help, right? All right, we'll put some emojis. Why not? So I just sent a message back, right? And then the student's going to get a notification where they can see my message and respond back. So that's the big advantage, right, of the mobile app on the phone or the Chromebook app. Notifications. You reach out, you send them a message, or you broadcast information out, which you'll see. They'll get those and make sure they see them. Sure, it's Johnson. Thank you. I'm a terrible texter. I have to talk into the phone. So again, anytime I communicate, the student will get an automated response of some kind. And you can see it's a two-way anonymous chat, happens in real time. Again, two-way anonymous, right? If they don't give you their name, you don't know who they are necessarily, and they don't know who you are unless you identify yourself. Now, some schools decide they want the student to know who they're reporting to, and they may have a custom question that says, "Do you want this to go to someone specifically?" But outside of that, it's two-way anonymous if neither side identifies themselves. So again, this is a big part of, building that trust, showing the skill community that the coast is clear. I've talked to a lot of, mostly it's principals and superintendents of smaller districts that use this communication, and then they tell me the students in front of them in 30 minutes to an hour, right? Because they've done a good job at showing them it's safe, and they come in and talk to them. So on the right side here is ways that you can leverage the system to track trends or assign it to other people. So I mentioned you can automatically assign based on the type of incident it is, right? Different people, different incidents. But let's say I'm the principal and I want to assign it to my counselors or HIB group or SROs or a person. I'm going to assign it to Nick. And then I'm going to get a notification now that says more specifically now, this incident has been assigned to you. So I know now I should take it, because if you have 10 people on the receiving end and they all just know an incident was submitted, it's like sending an email to 10 people, right? No one responds because no one knows who should take it. So now I know I'm the one who should take it and I'm the one who should manage it. And then, of course, that's all recorded in an activity log. Any action that's taken, right? That something was done, it was assigned to somebody else. So there's no confusion there. We got a name here and we got a place, right? It happened off school grounds, and the person's name that's in need of help is Jimmy Johnson, right? So I'm going to take that name and I'm going to put it into someone that's in need of help. So his name has never been mentioned before. I'm going to add new. But let's say it is a name that was mentioned, right? Mindy Smith. You can see it auto-populates. So if you put a name in here and you see it auto-populates, it lets you know right away this name has been mentioned before as someone that's in need of help or a target or someone involved, right, with the different fields. So you can run reports on those names or any kind of labels and track trends on how often those are being used. So you can essentially see all the other incidents where Jimmy Johnson was involved, in any way, shape, or form. Some tools in here, right? Again, we try to think of everything on the admin side. There's a lot of concerns with anonymous reporting. I mentioned several, right? But another is credibility. You get a tip. How do you know if this person's a credible source of information, right? It's all alleged what they're saying. So you still have the ability, even if they're anonymous, to see the track record of what else they've given you in the past. So from that particular phone, that device, right? That phone, that Chromebook, that computer, you can click on this link here. It won't be here if they have no history, but if they have a history, it'll be here, and you can see anything else they've given you in the past from that device. You're going to have your frequent flyers here that share information. You're going to be able to determine if they're credible. We all know misuse is also, is a concern, even though it happens with our system very little now. This is a controversial tool, but if you do see that they're misusing and they're not stopping, even after you warn them, you can deactivate the device so they can't send more tips to you. You can treat that as a timeout, reactivate if you want as well. So that's pretty much everything with managing a tip, right? It's pretty simple. You're reaching back out, you're tracking trends, you're using this information you wouldn't have had otherwise. Once you're finished investigating, you may put an action here that you looked into it. Again, fully configurable list, and you can close it out once you're finished. So once you close it out, you may respond to the student, let them know, thank you, we've investigated this. But even if you don't do that, if you close it on the student's end, it will automatically switch to closed, right? So I'm going to close it. And then on the student's end, it is now closed. So once you close it, then there's no more communication, right? If they want to talk to you again through the system, they have to submit a fresh one, start the process over. So that's pretty much the gist of managing a tip, right? Every setting in the system, anything you ever want to change, your access codes, your branding, your routing, your questions, your resources, right? They can be changed in real time. We're here to support you anytime, right? You can chat with us anytime. We help you, right? Our program success team. But once you know how to do this on your own, like you'll be able to tweak your program as it evolves over time, anytime you want, and those changes will happen in real time. So that's pretty much everything with the aspects of the program that you would use, right? I showed you the broadcasting. That's where you can send mass notifications, right? Where you can send those mass messages. You can choose if I want to send it to a building or the whole district. You can put flyers. And again, those are those messages that show up here. So if you put the app on your phone, I'll send one out later and you can feel what it's like to receive those. So that's pretty much everything with the program, that you would use on a regular basis. So if there's any interest at all in the Stop It program, potentially adding it to your arsenal of proactive safety tools, you can contact this email address here. His name is Kevin SQ, KSQ at lightspeedsystems.com. We'd be happy to meet with your team, see what your goals and direction are for safety and how we can use this program to integrate with those goals and make it more personalized. I appreciate you all joining, and we hope you have a great rest of the week and appreciate the work you're doing every day.